Everyone keeps saying the same thing. It's just a hot streak. Enjoy it while it lasts. That's what young teams do before they cool off. But here's the problem with that explanation. It doesn't actually fit what's happening in Charlotte right now. Because when you slow this run down and look underneath the surface, this doesn't look like luck at all. It looks planned. It looks controlled. And more importantly, it looks repeatable. And once you understand why this version of the Hornets is working, the individual breakouts suddenly stop feeling random. They start to feel inevitable. And that's where this story really begins. Most surprise win streaks in the NBA follow a familiar script. Shots start falling at an unsustainable rate, confidence spikes, and eventually, gravity pulls everything back to earth. We've all seen it before. A team catches fire for 2 weeks, the percentages look wild, and everyone quietly waits for regression. But Charlotte's numbers don't tell that story. Over the last stretch, they haven't just been good in one area, they've been at the top of the league in multiple categories at the same time. Offensive rating, net rating, plus-minus, rebounding percentage, second chance points, defensive efficiency against opponents' shooting. That combination matters, because flukes don't usually stack. Luck doesn't show up everywhere at once. And when a team starts winning across every possession-based metric, it stops being about variance and starts being about control. That's the part people miss. This version of the Hornets isn't surviving games, they're dictating them. And the clearest proof shows up in one area teams can't fake. Rebounding doesn't trend on social media, it doesn't go viral, and it almost never leads a highlight package, but it quietly decides games every single night. Charlotte hasn't just improved on the glass, they've dominated it. And not in the traditional way, where one big man carries the load. This has been a full roster effort. Wings crashing down, guards fighting for position, multiple bodies committing to every possession. That Spurs game said everything. Going up against a team with overwhelming size, Charlotte didn't just hold their own. They took control. They won the rebounding battle decisively, and they did it with effort coming from everywhere. When you consistently get more shots than your opponent, you decide how fast the game moves. You decide who's comfortable. You decide who's reacting instead of attacking. That's why this stretch doesn't feel fragile. Rebounding is built on focus, energy, and commitment. And when a young team starts winning that battle night after night, something else always follows: confidence. Young players don't grow in a vacuum. They grow inside structure, inside belief, inside situations where their mistakes don't immediately cost the team the game. That's what's happening in Charlotte right now. This isn't a roster suddenly discovering talent it never had. It's a system finally giving players permission to play free. When guys trust that effort will be rewarded, they stop forcing shots, they stop pressing, and they start letting the game come to them. That's when individual growth accelerates, and no one embodies that shift more clearly than Brandon Miller. Because once his rhythm arrived, things escalated fast. Brandon Miller's recent production jumps off the screen. The scoring, the efficiency, the company he's keeping statistically. But the real difference isn't the points, it's how he's getting them. This hasn't been a stretch where everything goes right from the opening tip. In fact, some of his most impressive performances started rough. Missed shots, slow beginnings, moments where younger versions of himself might have disappeared. Instead, he stayed patient, stayed aggressive, trusted his spots. That's growth. When Miller struggles early now, it doesn't change how he plays. And that's how you know something real is happening. The confidence isn't tied to makes anymore, it's tied to process. The moment over Victor Wembanyama wasn't just a highlight, it was a statement, not of bravado, but of comfort. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he did it without hesitation. And when he's on the floor, Charlotte wins minutes. That matters, because empty numbers don't tilt games, impact does. But the performance that really shifted perception came next. The Philadelphia game didn't feel real while it was happening. Perfect efficiency at volume, complete control, no wasted movement, no rushed decisions, just precision. Games like that don't happen often, and when they do, they usually belong to established stars in their prime, not players still years away from their peak. That's why context matters here. Miller isn't just scoring, he's doing it in ways that scale. His shooting on the move, his readiness off handoffs, the way he punishes even half-second lapses in coverage. Defenders don't get time against him anymore. And once a scorer reaches that point, the geometry of the floor changes. This isn't about a hot jumper. It's about rhythm, timing, and repeatable advantages, the kind that survive cold nights. And what makes this even more dangerous is that he isn't alone. Every team that eventually becomes real has a game people remember later. A night that didn't feel important at the time, but makes sense in hindsight. That Dallas game felt like one of those. The stage was set for someone else. One player dominating, one force bending the game. And instead of folding, Charlotte answered, possession after possession, shot for shot. That's when Knuppel stepped into the moment. He didn't hide, he didn't defer, he leaned into the pressure, wanted the matchup, wanted the responsibility. There was history there, familiarity, quiet tension, and none of it slowed him down. Big shots, deep range, no hesitation. And when the game tightened, he didn't flinch. That's not normal, not this early. When you line Knuppel's production up next to the rest of the league, it almost looks like a mistake. Efficiency like that usually comes with years of experience, with defensive adjustments already absorbed, with mistakes already made and corrected. But he's already there. The shooting isn't just accurate, it's immediate. The ball hits his hands and the decision is already made. No dip, no delay, just confidence. Players with that kind of readiness bend defenses without touching the ball. And when a rookie already commands that respect, it forces teams to guard differently. What was supposed to be a supporting role is starting to look like something much bigger. And if this is the baseline, the ceiling gets uncomfortable fast. Which brings us to the bigger picture no one expected this season. The standings don't tell the whole story. They never do. Because when you look at how Charlotte has played across the season, the gaps become obvious. Close losses, missed margins, games that slipped without reflecting the actual performance. The underlying numbers paint a very different picture. One where this team should already be sitting higher than most people realize. That's not optimism, that's math. And when a young team starts turning those margins into wins, the climb can happen quickly, especially in a conference where separation isn't as wide as it looks. The scary part is that this improvement hasn't come from one area. It's coming from everywhere. You can't scheme this team away anymore. Take one scorer out, another fills the space. Load up on the ball, the movement punishes you. Overhelp, the spacing burns you. Charlotte doesn't rely on one look, or one creator, or one rhythm. And that balance changes everything. The ball moves with purpose now. Actions flow into counters, handoffs blend into open looks. It feels intentional. The only real issue holding them back is turnovers, and that's usually the last thing young teams clean up, not the first. But even with that flaw, the foundation is already strong, which is why the ceiling just moved. This doesn't feel like a peak, it feels like alignment. Effort matching structure, confidence matching opportunity, talent finally syncing with system. No one's saying this team has arrived, but it's becoming clear they're no longer guessing. And once that happens, progress accelerates. The league will adjust, the nights will get harder, but the signs are real. And if this is what it looks like while they're still figuring it out, the next phase might come faster than anyone expects.